So, tell me something terrible.
Are you sniffing your foot after you just itched your ear?
Well, is that
You're gross.
It's like sniffing your fingers after you take your belly button fuzz out.
Ew. I don't get belly button fuzz.
Well, you don't have a big enough belly button. I don't think. You don't have a crater in your midsection.
No, my belly button got ruined from having a baby.
Yeah, and you had that like jewelry off of it for a while.
Oh, well, yeah, and like the stretch mark that I have on my stomach, like the biggest one, hits just wrong enough that I can never get it re-pierced.
Just do what do they call that? The industrial. Just go sideways.
Sideways. Well, bottom was really popular when we were in high school.
Yeah.
Getting the bottom half of your belly button pierced too.
So you just tuck it into your jeans.
Yeah.
That was low-rise jeans, though.
Yeah.
They had to show a little upper vag. Now they're high-rise, so it'd rub against your yoga pants all the time.
That's actually why I had to take my belly button ring out.
Because the yoga pants, the high-rise pants.
They were high-rise pants, yeah, and they rubbed on them too much, and it caused a lot of inflammation, and it started to reject after 12, 13, 14 years, and I was really upset about it. It was my first piercing.
Wow.
I've come a long way.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Got lots of other things pierced that are not belly buttons.
Me too. Just kidding. I have no piercings.
And no tattoos.
I know.
How are we married?
I have a ring. Look at me go. That's my jewelry. That's my body modification.
Your wedding ring?
Yeah, and a beard. That's all. That's the only thing that's changed in the last 30 years.
That's
It could
not
be
bad.
worse. Could
Yeah.
be worse.
It could be the mutton chops again.
I can do that tonight.
Please.
Since we're done recording.
Please no.
Okay. What's tonight's podcast about?
Oh, we're going to talk about bears.
Okay. Did you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are.
You don't like my game show approach to it?
No. You tried to steal my game show thunder. And it's World Diabetes Day.
Yeah, it is.
So we're celebrating by still being diabetic.
I'm not. He is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a gluten sensitivity.
By celebrating, I still had carbs today. I don't know how you celebrate World Diabetes. I took insulin today.
Proud of you. Not too much insulin, though, right? You weren't like, let's do an extra shot of insulin and see what happens.
Should we do like a blood sugar check?
Yeah, go for it.
There's some streamers that like wear heartbeat sensors and like heart rate monitors or whatever, like Fitbits or whatever, and they post their like heart rate on the screen.
Yeah, which like legit, when you're sitting there, you get all that adrenaline. It makes sense.
Yeah. So
could you imagine
if
being
we
in
ever
real war?
streamed, I would just put like a little thing with my blood sugar on it, and people would be like, "Bro, you're like 250. Go take some." No, we're sitting at 81 right now. Solid levels.
81?
Yeah, I had some chips. It'll go up.
Okay.
What if it starts beeping mid-episode? We'll just, I'll go grab a banana. You keep talking. Everything will be fine.
Okay. You're supposed to miss a whole part while you're actively trying not to die.
I miss whole parts Googling shit every single week. So what's me walking away?
That is true.
I have some Cheez-Its next to me from last episode. Yes.
Oh, that was like a week ago. Mm-hmm. I brought popcorn up with us.
Oh, terrific. The sound of me chewing popcorn in everyone's ear.
Lean back, you'll be fine.
And spitting out the like kernels that get stuck in your teeth.
Oh no, it's Wesco popcorn. That's better. Has higher quality.
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
Is Wesco more than just a Michigan thing, or is Wesco a Michigan only thing?
It's definitely centralized in Michigan. It might go outside of it, but remember there was like the map on the side of the popcorn bucket, and it was mostly Michigan.
Yeah.
I think.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, if you're from Michigan, grab yourself some Wesco popcorns.
For real.
And those delicious peanut butter chocolate square things that they have.
Oh, those are everywhere. Remember the You Betcha guy? He's like obsessed with like.
Oh yeah, he had like a name for what they actually were.
No, he was trying to figure out what the name for them actually.
Doesn't matter.
I was
They're
say
delicious.
Words, but that's not good English. You know me.
We don't.
All about the good English.
Yeah, we are.
I'm pretty much a linguist.
Me too.
Is that what they call it? Anyway.
Yeah. Not epidemiologist.
So are we going to call this episode Bare Necessities? Should I sing it now?
Yeah, sing it. Go for it.
What about, no.
It's the bare necessities.
You're the one that sings.
Blah, 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 blah. I don't remember
you don't know
the rest
any
of the words.
I'm not going to
I know they're floating down a river. That's all I can tell you.
The simple bare necessities. The simple bare necessities of life?
Maybe.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
With Mowgli?
Yep.
That's his name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
We owned the Jungle Book, the like real life one, the VHS when I was growing up, with like the guy. I don't know.
No,
I remember being.
We had
intense.
the like 1950s version of it.
Yeah, no, we had like the real life one, where it was like a dude and he like wrestled anacondas and stuff.
Is that why you're a big fan of the real life Tarzan?
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's a great movie. I don't.
That
know.
and like which Skarsgård is that?
Alexander
Skarsgård? Oh, it doesn't matter.
It's not the one that
it's-
plays Pennywise. It's the
no.
other one.
But not the older man, the son. Because Skarsgård is
Their dad. Something.
yeah, their dad is super.
Okay.
He's in like the Marvel series. He's the
Is he?
lead. Yeah, he's the lead scientist in Thor.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
The Skarsgårds are like super
Skarsgård.
fucking hot,
family.
but also very, very famous and
Bill.
good actors.
Stellan is his name.
The dad,
Yeah, Stellan. Stellan Skarsgård.
Straight Russian.
Bill's the brother that plays in it.
yep,
Okay, so how many Skarsgårds are actors? 3 brothers. There's a third brother too.
there is. He's not as attractive. He's still hot as fuck, and then you put him next to his brothers, and you're like, no, he's average.
His name's Gustav.
Of course it is.
Gustav Kasper Orm Skarsgård.
They're Swedish, right?
He was in Westworld and Merlin.
Oh, you watched a lot of Westworld.
I watched the first season of
Yeah.
Westworld. Yeah. Anyway, as you
That was back when I was going to school, and I was really jealous.
You had a long paper
did. And
here, and we've already hard
Gone.
side railed.
Yes, we have.
Okay, Skarsgårds, yay. Move along.
So
Go watch Tarzan, whatever one with Skarsgård and what's her face.
it's so good.
What's her name?
I don't know.
Okay.
She's also an actress that's been in a lot of things. It truly is a really good
An
movie.
actress who's been in a lot of things.
Yes. It
Okay.
really is a good movie.
Hold on.
And you get to see him be like, oh, I have to try to rescue my wife. And they make out. And it's lots of fun. And it's good. It's good times.
It's Margot Robbie. Robbie?
Sure.
Samuel L. Jackson's in it. I mean, what more do you need to know?
Yes. It's good.
Yes. Oh, I touched a button.
Yep.
Why do I not know if her
And he
name's
fights
Robbie or
gorillas.
Robbie? It's Robbie, right? Margot Robbie? Robbie?
I think it's Roby.
I'm not good with names.
Me neither. I don't even know your name.
But she's Harley Quinn. It's Harley Quinn. That's
oh my God. It's Harley Quinn?
Yeah. Where have you been, homie?
I have really horrible facial recognition. I'm so bad with everything. Talented. Either way, great
Okay.
movie. Go watch it.
Legend of Tarzan.
And once you're done watching that, then you can finish listening to this episode.
Yep. 2 hours. And you're back. Okay, cool.
So we're going to talk about Timothy Treadwell.
Okay.
This was suggested from Beth when we did
The podcast with them.
Yep, with them. I promise I wasn't trying to call you out or feel attacked in the last episode via your tweets. It's just
We don't know where you're from. That's all.
no, she's
We
from
do
New
now.
York.
I know now.
I told you she wasn't from Ohio.
I know.
But we love you, and apparently we're just going to shout you guys out every episode.
Yes. It's because Jamie lived in Ohio for too long.
Yes, he did.
That was the problem.
Yes.
Ruined everything.
Also, she does like pole and stuff and like is fully body positivity. So like if you need somebody to follow to be like, oh my gosh, she's awesome, she's a good one.
Yep.
I don't know if she wants me to shout out her stuff on TikTok, so I won't. But if you want to do a deep dive and creep and be awkward, she's a good follow.
Yeah. I don't have TikTok, so I don't know about that. I know. I'm so old.
You are.
I just get sent 74 TikToks a day.
Okay, look, I'm doing a lot better.
We had an intervention. It's better now, right? Anyway. Will you get like
So,
one sentence into your story
Yes,
here?
Timothy
Treadwell.
Treadwell. That's who we're talking about. And bears.
So you said.
So here's the link. I actually remember Todd because apparently we shout him out in every episode as well. He's a big influence in our life, guys. He mentioned this to me when I worked at Family Dollar, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's so horrible! Like, I can't believe that you can."
Well, Todd
find
got
footage.
attacked by a bobcat, so yeah.
yes.
Any sort of animal related, issue is going to be brought up by Todd.
A rabid bobcat too.
Yeah.
It was amazing listening to that story. When I was like 19 years old, I was like, tell me more while I'm getting paid. I appreciate it.
Right.
And so I remember him mentioning it at some point, but like we were too busy like working a full-time job and going to college and all of that stuff that everybody that's our age struggled with. So I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. And then Beth brought it up, and then I started researching it, and I was like, oh my God, I know this story. So now I'm going to tell you.
Terrific.
Ready?
I am.
Okay. So in the afternoon of October 3rd, 2003, Willie Fulton landed his seaplane on the edge of the Kodiak Island in Katmai National Park and Reserve in Alaska.
Said 03?
03.
Okay, so this is like 5 years is all before we started working at Family Dollar.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's fresh news.
Yes. So this spot that he landed at was the designated spot that he picked Timothy Treadwell up for the last 13 years, along with Amy Huguenard, who was a surgical assistant and Tim's girlfriend of the last few years.
Okay.
So this was normal. He would show up, Tim would load up his stuff, and they would take off.
Okay.
So Timothy Treadwell, born in Long Island, New York, originally known as Timothy Dexter, he was a self-proclaimed bear activist, an environmentalist who made it his life's mission to protect the bears that roamed around the Katmai National Park and the Kodiak Island from dangers like poachers and like shenanigans from other people.
Okay.
And making people...
I guess you don't think about like bears being poached. Like you think poaching, you think like Africa. Like
right, like actual
elephants, like
endangered
big game
and
like
giraffes.
Yeah,
because there is a not breed, I guess breed of giraffe that is endangered. There are some types of giraffes,
some sort of subspecies.
Yeah, that is on the endangered species list.
It's because all those Cruella de Vil like fuckers around here. Like I need the fur.
No, you don't.
Pelt. What
Pelt.
is it? Skin. The hide.
Hide. Sure.
Meh.
Either
Whatever.
way,
Yeah.
Guys, we have enough synthetic stuff.
Yeah.
You just make it.
But anyway, you think of poachers, that's what I think of. It's like Tarzan, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to Tarzan.
Wow, it circles all back.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, you don't think of Alaska and like bears and stuff.
You're right. You don't, because it's not real.
Oh, okay.
They're poached a little bit. So the years after this incident, there was like 6 cases of poaching, and it was off the preserve.
Preserve,
whatever.
Isn't
It was
preserve
off
like jams and jellies?
Yes. So it was off the jams and jellies of the land.
I mean, it's probably both. Just
so
when
there
I
was
think
like,
of preserves.
Gosh, I think it was like a 43,000 acre or whatever, or million. It was a massive hunk of land in Alaska that was a reserve.
So like
to protect the
1/10
bears.
of Alaska.
Yes.
No,
And
I'm just throwing random
so
numbers.
after the incident, which we'll get to, there were some poaching of bears after this incident, except it was off of the reserve.
Okay.
So it had nothing to do with his efforts.
All right.
Bears are not endangered. These bears aren't. At least these bears aren't endangered. There are some like sun bears and polar bears and things that are endangered.
Yeah.
But Alaskan brown bears,
They're doing okay.
they're fine.
All right.
We'll get to it. So he was a self-proclaimed activist trying to... all those shots of gin just hit me.
Did they? Mm-hmm. Good.
So he's trying to
We've
protect...
moved on from Vizzy's. We're just trying to get sponsored by Tanqueray now.
Yeah, since Busy straight up said they weren't going to sponsor us.
Yeah, they said no.
We're doing fine.
Yes.
We know.
We moved on to Tanqueray.
And also, because we found that orange Tanqueray, and it's delicious.
The orange Seville.
Yes. So anyway, he made it his life's mission to protect these bears. And a lot of times this would either make people extremely happy or very, very annoyed / super pissed off. After a near-fatal heroin overdose, born out of the addiction that he picked up after becoming a failed actor, a friend suggested that Tim go on a bear-watching excursion in Alaska.
A failed actor?
Yes. So he tried out for the part of the bartender in Cheers.
Oh, the one that went to what's his face?
Woody Harrelson?
I was going to say Ted Dan. No, is it Ted Danson?
I don't know.
It's definitely Woody Harrelson's the one of them. Is that the one he went for?
I think
like
that,
the
yeah.
younger,
Yep.
clean-shaven guy.
Yes. So he he was second to Woody Harrelson.
Was he second, or was he just not first?
He was just not first.
Okay.
They don't really mention like how far out of like the role.
I don't know if it came down to both of them, but
like
he definitely tried,
neck and neck.
He definitely tried out, and it was Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's probably more like there's probably like 800 clean shaven blonde haired dudes there, and he's like, I came in second. No, you came in tied for second with 199 other dudes. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
and he is blonde.
Well, they typecast those kind
and
of...
he is shaven.
Yes. Well, they typecast that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You got the guy with the...
He looks like the Wish version of Woody Harrelson before, he got old.
And bald.
He actually has a receding hairline that he managed to obscure with his, like, Bieber bangs.
Wait, not Woody
Treadwell.
Harrelson. Okay.
No,
I was like,
Timothy.
I was like, I don't know the last time I saw Woody Harrelson with hair, but okay. It's probably in Cheers.
Probably. So he wound up just kind of spiraling after he moved from Long Island out to California. He wound up becoming addicted to drugs, and he had a near fatal heroin overdose.
Okay.
And so the friend was like, you should go get
to
away.
Alaska.
Yeah, you should just get away.
Just get as far away as physically possible. Well, Maine, I don't know which one's farther away from Alaska.
I think Alaska might be farther.
Is
Canada's pretty big.
I don't know. Well, I'm just guessing. You know us. We're a strictly geography podcast.
We are geographical novices.
I could Google it, but that's a lot of work.
It is. So, his excursion in Alaska resparked his childhood love for animals. So he fully recovered from his addiction, motivated by his new life's calling to protect the bears. And in order to protect the bears, he needed to be clean and sober. So in my personal opinion, which it was actually really hard to find information regarding exactly what happened from a sort of objective point of view, because everybody had an opinion about this man, because he was kind of like, he was like one of the original vloggers almost. Like nowadays, I'd be fine like letting Lily watch like YouTube videos from this guy, from the way he talked and interacted, the way he sounded, the voice that he affected, very much as reminiscence of things like literally Blippi.
Okay, so it'd be like on almost like Netflix kid like nature show.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he did cuss a lot, but there's usually like after shoots, or like if you went on a tirade and you go off on a tangent. Have no clue what that's like.
No. We should do a podcast where we don't do tangents.
Oh, God.
It'd be 8 minutes long.
It would be. Just me rapidly reading through things.
Yeah, I mean, I can read that page in like 3 minutes.
No one would
We can be done
understand.
here by 10:30.
So, in my opinion, with his discovery of his love of bears, I honestly think that he just traded like one addiction of drugs to a new one, which was the obsession and like adrenaline from living with bears. You know,
A different high.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So some environmentalists and biologies are of the opinion that Tim wanted
Biologist?
to be. Yep. Not biologies. Environmentalists and biologists.
As a microbiologist, I had to correct you. Mhm.
You're going to mansplain it to me?
No, I'm going to micro explain it to you.
Oh, we're fighting. So,
Hey, quick question.
yes.
Can you pass the popcorn?
Yes. Hold on. Pause for the cause.
That's not even a pause. It's more of like a, excuse my rattling.
So,
As I lean back in my chair, let's all listen together.
So, there were environmentalists and biologists who are of the opinion that Tim wanted to become like a bear, even woofing at them when they grunted and woofed at him. So they make
Who's
like,
communicating.
yeah, he thought he was communicating.
Like Dory.
Yeah. In the whales.
Hello.
But Willie, who was the aforementioned airplane pilot.
Air what?
Airplane pilot?
Airplane.
Airplane pilot.
Nailed it.
He insisted that Timmy, as he called him, was smarter than
Sorry.
was smarter than he appeared, and Tim Treadwell knew that the
That's
bears.
a backhanded compliment if I ever had one. Heard one.
Well, because he's a lump, and not a lump. He's not a lump.
He's Wish Woody Harrelson. You just said.
Eccentric.
It's someone's like, oh, you're way smarter than you look. Thanks, asshole.
Look, no, this man has a bowl cut, a bad bowl cut. Not like bowl cut around the head, almost bordering on mullet bowl cut.
Yeah.
He wore black windbreakers, and he had
It's
Oakleys.
it's like the guy I just showed you that owned the Raiders.
No, because this man actually had a nice jawline. Yeah. He wore like wraparound, almost goggle-esque Oakleys, and he talked in a very sing-sing. He affected his voice so much so that he spoke a little bit more high-pitched, and he just would sing to the bears, "Oh, I love you, I love you," and then
that like is weird, like chill-inducing.
Oh yeah. And it was very weird to hear him. So in the documentary that I watched, they would show a lot of the beef footage, and they would show a lot of the footage that were retakes. So he would come like jumping down a hill and then be like spurt off the information that he would truly like to be in his documentaries once he edited them down. And then he would be like, well, that was a really horrible fucking take. And like, but it's in this like, that was just really fucking horrible.
So he's like a Jekyll and Hyde almost situation.
Yeah. And so I really do think he was smarter than what people think he was. And I also can see why children enjoyed him.
Yeah.
Because he had that
He's
persona.
like he's kind of like got that like lovable loser vibe going where you're like, "Oh, this guy's not great, but you can tell his intentions are pretty like in the right-ish direction."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I feel like nowadays, like almost 20 years later, he would have been a fucking hit. He would have made so much money off of YouTube.
Yeah.
So much money. He was a vlogger before vlogging really existed.
Yeah, when it was more like that's what it was. It was documentary.
Yeah, like almost self-published documentaries.
Yeah, you wanted to get like independent like films essentially.
So, now that we've gone fully off the rails.
He wanted to be a Bear Witch project. No.
Instead of a Blair.
Yeah, sorry. That's terrible.
Yeah? Wait till we get to what happens to poor Tim.
Timmy.
So, Tim Treadwell knew the bears were fully capable of tearing him apart, but he seemed convinced...
If you're a bear expert, you're probably pretty confident in their ability to eat you.
Yes.
This is telling me something terrible. I assume he's going to get murdered by the bears. Not murdered. I guess it's just eaten.
Yeah, we'll get to it. So
he's going to be like that scene in Jurassic Park where the two T-Rexes like pull the guy apart.
It's not two.
Okay, good.
Just one.
You don't know that.
No, it is just one. We know that. They found remains in just one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll get to it. So,
spoiler alert.
So, he seemed to know the bears could tear him apart, but he seemed convinced that he had bonded with them enough and that he was a bear whisperer and that he was taking all of the proper precautions even though he carried no weapons or bear spray, much to...
Then what were the proper precautions?
He just felt like he was connected.
Okay, that's not proper.
And could communicate with the bears.
That's not proper precautions.
That's what the Alaskan State Park rangers were like, no.
Yeah.
And biologists and everybody was like,
the proper
sir,
precautions is like a fence or like space.
they have electrified fences to keep bears out. And so they were like...
But he was not on the opposite side of the fence from these bears, correct?
He had no fence. He had literally nothing. So when he first started out, within like the first couple of years, he did carry pepper spray. And he had to spray one bear one time. And he was so off-put by what he did to the bear. He felt like it hurt that bear so much.
He was distraught.
Yeah, he could never do it again. So he went out for 13 years into the wilderness with these bears, and he did bond to them. Mm-hmm. You can see it in the footage. He had no weapons, nothing.
Yeah.
And the park was very upset about it. And he was warned by other biologists, like maybe you should do like carry bear spray, which is like super mace, and have these like electrical fences that you would put up as a perimeter around your tenting locations.
Yeah.
Nothing. Didn't care. He would literally rather die than hurt a bear.
Yeah.
And he said so. So.
A little foreshadowing, I suppose.
Yep. So for 13 years, from 1990 to 2003, Timothy would pack up his tent, survival gear, video cameras, actual just plain still frame cameras and such. He would don his camo bandana, all black windbreakers, and his wraparound knockoff Oakleys that I mentioned earlier.
Put on his Nickelback CD and away he goes. Maybe.
Beth is going to be so mad.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
It's a sensitive subject. so
just 2003. You got Oakleys on. That's where I assume you're going.
They're not real Oakleys. They're
That's
like
fine. Folkleys.
Folkleys, yes. And he would put on his black outdoorsman watch, the one that's got like all of the like spinny dials that shows you like the times.
It's got like a full keyboard on it.
Yeah, essentially. And he would jump on a plane piloted by the aforementioned Willie and head to Alaska to spend the summers protecting the bears. Mm-hmm. He would record his travels, his thoughts, sometimes redoing scenes where he like talks to the camera over and over again until he was satisfied. So he would also record this amazing bee footage of other Alaskan wildlife, like of his fox friend Spirit. Remember when I paused like the doc I was watching and had Lily watch?
Wait, his fox friend's name was Spirit?
Yes, he named it Spirit. Mm-hmm. So the spot that I paused was above where he was laying in his tent. There was these tiny little paws just like scratching and patting, and then he unzipped it. And there was this tiny little fox, and this fox would follow him every summer he went up there. And it got to the point that this fox would bring out her babies, and they would follow him everywhere he went.
Yeah, they're almost like domesticated.
Yeah, he does have like an animal magnetism to him. So,
well, those animals are so tainted by like human interaction that they don't have the like built-in like fear mechanism of like, yeah.
That was the problem. And that was what a lot of biologists were like, yes, he might be doing a lot of this observation and he thinks he's doing good. He's not. Because if this animal comes in contact with a human that really wants to harm it, it's going to die.
They're going to be very vulnerable.
Yeah, because the only interaction it had with a human was someone as like carefree and kind as this guy. And
they're just going to shoot it. Yeah.
Yes, most people aren't like that. So it was really hard for me to like research this because I'm like, I get his point of view, but I also get their point of view too. Like it's very sad all around.
It's a lose-lose.
Pretty much, yes. I lost my spot. Okay, so the fox always followed him around. So he recorded himself interacting with the bears, talking to them, singing to them, telling them that he loved them, giving them names, sometimes getting close enough to touch their snoots.
Yeah.
Yeah, like mama bears bringing up their babies to him close with these bears. So he used this footage to create his own documentaries and education for others. Mostly he was by himself, although a couple summers it seems like he did have a partner with him. They were just anonymous. They didn't want to mention, like, they were usually female companions.
Gotcha.
And the last few years he actually spent with Amy Huguenard. Okay. So the last like 2 or 3 years he brought her with him. She was his girlfriend.
Okay.
So during the winters, Tim would give presentations to school kids for free. So he was just...
Seems like bad business, but okay.
Well, yeah, because he just cared.
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
Like one of his friends in the documentary that I was watching that was like, he's one of the poorest people I've ever met. And he still would not take fees from the schools just to educate people. So he would tell stories of the bears to the kids, and they would have the kids shout back bear facts to him while he was at these like assemblies.
Yeah.
He worked with his business partner and previous girlfriend, Jewel Palavac, to develop a nonprofit called Grizzly People to help further educate and protect the grizzly bears. They weren't actually grizzly bears. They were Alaskan brown bears, which was like kind of like the very, very close
Yeah, but you couldn't
sibling.
call your company Brown People. That wouldn't go over so well.
No.
So
Maybe in the 90s it would have been fine.
Grizzly people it is. Yeah. The old brown people organization's going to get some side eye.
Yeah. I think he was ahead of his time.
Yes. Yeah.
So, they technically weren't grizzlies, but they were very closely related.
Yeah.
To
The brown bear, yeah.
not to the brown people,
yes.
to the grizzly bears. So Timothy was a pain in the ass to the park rangers. He also broke a ton of regulations that they put in place, like not camping longer than the 7-day allotment without moving.
Okay.
So if you parked you could camp for 7 days, and then you had to move a mile away from your previous campsite.
Okay. So you didn't homestead essentially, yeah.
Which is not what he did. He would just camp in one spot.
Where the bears were.
Were.
Was it the same spot he just kept going back to every year then?
I mean, it was the general area. Yeah. But you're supposed to move every week.
Uh-huh.
So he would always tent in a brushy, overgrown, tree-felled areas to prevent being seen, which is the opposite of what they recommend, which is out in the open sort of camping, so that the bears know that you're there, you know where the bears are. It's a very odd unspoken rule between humans and the bears that if you just ignore them, they will also ignore you.
It's unspoken because they don't speak.
Yes. But yes, that is true. But generally, it seems to be just with natural interactions with bears. If they know you're there,
yeah,
and you don't bother them,
everyone leaves everyone alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's some weird ancient connection.
Yeah.
And Tim blatantly defied that.
Yeah, he saw that line. He's like, smudge it.
Yeah, smudge it. That's a cute way to say what he did. So he always kind of was slightly hidden, mostly to stay away from being spotted by the Park Service. But this wound up being the opposite of what was recommended with the bears.
Yeah.
So he also regularly broke the 100 yards rule. So in one bit of footage, there's a bear. Tim named him Grinch. He was eating behind him in the footage. I don't know what it was, probably salmon. Tim turned around to acknowledge the bear, who in turn sort of juked at him, was what's up, and jutted toward him.
Yeah.
And Tim just slapped at the bear's face and and told the bear, "You don't do that." And no.
He was trying to train the bears.
He fucking walked away. The bear just shuffled out of the scene like it was no big deal.
It's a 400-pound puppy.
Oh, 1,000-pound puppy.
Bad bear.
He was like, "No, you don't do that. You don't do that." And swatted at him, and the bear just walked away like it was no big deal.
He was more probably confused than anything. The fuck just happened?
Probably. And then Tim wound up apologizing to the bear, telling him that he loved him.
Oh yeah, because the bear understands.
Yes. So you're not supposed to get within 100 yards of a bear while on the reserve. So this pissed off Tim to no end. And he regularly railed against the Park Service in his videos in his later years, saying that their rules were restricting him and that the Park Service itself wasn't doing enough for the bears to protect them.
The bears that weren't being poached?
Yes.
Okay.
So there were bear biologists who've studied the bears for years, especially on this preserve. And they said that you could have a 6% drop in population every year and the bears will do just fine.
That's pretty substantial.
Mm-hmm. They would hunt them. So every once in a while, if they did get a little out of control, they would snipe them the way we did the deer in Cascades. Mm-hmm. And to study them. So they would do autopsies and study the bears. Yeah. And they found that a 6% decrease in population is A-okay. Chill.
Gotcha.
And during the 13 years that Timothy was there was no poaching, but it's because it's also on a reserve. It's natural. It's nationally federal
protected.
Yeah.
Or it's because he was there.
No. He had one interaction with people. He had caught footage of one interaction between a group of like photographers almost that were throwing rocks at a bear to try to get his attention, to piss him off, to get photos. And that was literally it in the 13 years that he was there.
Yeah, that's not very substantial. I like how in the last like 2 minutes we both have had a noise while we're drinking. Like, you can just hear the wine glass in the background.
Tink, tink, tink. So I get where he's coming from. Like you said, lovable loser, has good intentions, just like 5% off base. So anyway, apart from the bear interaction with the Grinch and the rules and restrictions, he wound up going on a lot of tirades and just like railing against the Park Service in some of his videos, like cussing them out. Like in the doc that I watched, they cut out a big chunk of it because there was so many F-bombs dropped that they were, and so many names dropped that were like specifically targeted in this like B-roll footage he was taking, that he had to cut it out because he's like, this is too much, and this is like targeting personal people. Like, I cannot include this.
So he was upset at park rangers, essentially.
Yes.
That were just mad at him. Even though they... anyway, yeah. It just seems like like he was just mad for no reason, and he just needed people to be mad at.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack in this case. And I think counseling would have solved a lot of problems.
Well, that's what the bears were there for.
Sure.
You know, talk to the bears. They'll listen.
Yeah. Or the camera. So a lot of experts believe that Tim did more harm than good because his bears that he spent the summers with for over a decade start to think that all humans were like him, which, you know, we mentioned earlier, which can be dangerous when a wild animal comes in contact with an actual harmful human that wants to shoot them.
Yeah.
So anyway, Tim seemed to be building trust or at least mutual respect with the bears that he would spend time with in what he dubbed the Grizzly Sanctuary. So there were two parts of this park that he would stay in during the summers. One was the Grizzly Sanctuary, which is where a lot of the bears that he associated with lived at.
Okay.
And then they would migrate. So it was time to migrate near the end of the summer. He would go along with the bears. He would pack up his gear and follow them to what he called the Grizzly Maze, which is a wooded area next to the river where the salmon would run.
Okay.
So it was a food source.
Yeah.
And it was literally just like trails upon trails of bear trails, like zigzagging
like how we have
in and
deer
out.
trails here.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is
slightly wider paths.
a little bit wider. This is where hungry bears would gather to fatten up right before hibernation.
I would love a plot twist if he like had footage of like Bigfoot. Like that would be a really fun twist in this story.
It would. That's a positive spin.
Yeah. And he's how we have footage of Bigfoot. Yeah. That's not how this is going to end.
Not at all.
Fucker's going to get eaten by a bear, but anyway.
So this is where, in the Grizzly Maze, hungry bears would gather to fatten up right before hibernation. So Tim would usually head out the last week of September once he had seen his furry, oversized friends off to their hibernation. Mm-hmm. So he had one clique of bears. These were the bears that he'd interacted with, and they'd grown accustomed to him.
That's why you don't name shit. Then you think they're human. See? That's your problem.
Yep. So in 2003, that summer had been particularly dry. I also realized just now that the more drunk I get, the harder it is to pronounce multiple syllabic words, especially if they end in the "ly."
You're like, I can hear my brain slowing down. This is why we are down to drinking one night a week.
So,
all you clamoring for 2 episodes. Nobody's clamoring. But anyway, there's a reason behind it. Shit's not good for you.
No, it is not. So there was a dry summer, and the berry production that year was low, and the bear population was higher than usual. So a group of stranger bears...
Sorry.
Stranger danger.
Yeah. Stranger bear danger? This seems like a problem.
So there was a group of stranger bear dangers that had moved in from inland to the coast, the Kodiak Island area that he was at.
A rougher gang of bears from a different part of town.
So those east side bears.
Yeah.
So the rivers...
They got scars under their eyes. They've been through some shit.
particularly this one bear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
So the rivers, apart from the berry production being low, the rivers were also running low, which wound up slowing down the salmon runs.
Okay.
So the bear population that year was aggressive, since there was a lot of stranger danger.
Yeah, everyone's a little feisty, a little hangry.
Yes. Usually bear fights would only break out every once.
A bare knuckle brawl?
Yes, a bare knuckle brawl would usually only break out every few days, just one every few days.
Yeah.
So this year, in 2003, between the stranger danger bears and the short food supply, everybody was hangry. So I'm glad we made the same joke.
Good. Oh, you wrote that joke in?
Yes, mine was scripted. Yours was
Terrific.
off the handle.
Off the handle?
Yeah.
Off the cuff?
Off the cuff. I'm really bad at expressions, guys.
Fine. That's fine.
So fights were happening upwards to 10 a day.
On the reg, as you would say.
Yeah, on the reg, from the get. Instead of just being one every few days, the frequency had amped up to...
You think that's when you'd be like, no, I'm going to pack up and head out. These bears seem a little testy.
They did pack up and head out. We'll get to it.
Okay, cool.
So the fights were happening upwards to 10 a day instead of just a few every
Will
few
bears
days.
eat other bears?
Yes.
Okay.
They'll eat their own cubs.
Oh.
If they are starving, they will eat their own
survival
cubs.
instincts are strong.
Yeah.
Maybe too strong. Okay.
And actually, not just if they were starving, they'll eat their own cubs. Males will kill cubs to force a female bear into heat to mate again.
Oh, that's brutal. Cool.
I think cats and pigs might do the same things.
What about mice?
Probably.
I just remember mice eating their babies in science class in like school.
Oh my god!
Like,
Tell me more about your past trauma and why you're afraid of mice and
Well,
bats.
if like mice had babies, you had to like take the mama mouse out because it'll like eat the babies.
Fish too. You have to do it to fish as well.
Either way. Fucking nature's scary as shit.
Yeah. There's a reason why our brains are wired to think babies are cute. Otherwise, we would eat them.
Yeah, it's not just dog eat dog. It's fucking everything eats everything. Run.
Yeah, except for humans, because we somehow developed this biological instinct to be like, they're so cute, instead of eating them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now we celebrate humans that eat other humans and
Do we?
devote podcasts to them.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can name a few cannibals. Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right?
There's a Canadian cannibal, too.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Hey.
He's doing so good.
Sorry.
He's medicated.
I was going to make a Canadian bacon joke, but it seemed off goof. Anyway, can you tell me more about this bear guy in Alaska?
Okay. Almost Canada.
Yeah. Well, it's our like Canadian. It's Canadian Plus. Like
Canadian.
Disney Plus, Discovery Plus. It's our Canada Plus is Alaska.
So,
Where was I?
I don't remember. All right, the fights.
You have a pen in your hand that you haven't underlined a single.
I know, because I was super into this.
Okay.
So, the bears were forced to dive into the river and into the bay to feed off already dead salmon at the bottom of the lakes.
This sounds terrible.
Yeah. Well,
We buy frozen salmon.
yeah, we do.
That's literally my only way I can relate to these bears at this point.
Frozen?
I buy already dead salmon, but it's preserved and from Aldi's.
Which doesn't have a lot of preservatives, actually. It's like salt.
And it's Alaskan, I think.
So they were forced to dive a lot deeper, and Tim actually caught a lot of footage of these bears swimming down into the like lakes and the bays and the rivers, trying to feed off of anything that was below, just so they could get fat enough for winter. So Tim and his girlfriend's summer had ended, and Tim's group of bears had already gone off to hibernate. So the only thing that was left was the stranger danger bears.
The aggressively stranger danger bears?
Mm-hmm. And Amy was ready to head home and break it off with Tim and start her new job.
Okay. Not as a bear documentary assistant?
Absolutely. She was horrified of the bears.
Then why the fuck would you keep going?
I don't know.
She was just enamored by the bear whisperer?
Look, I'm back in this town because we found this house because of you.
Okay, but there's a difference. We don't have bears in the backyard, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm a bear whisperer.
No. Instead, we have... I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to isolate listeners.
Okay.
We have our neighbors.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, but...
They're close to. I don't know. We found the one neighbor with all the guns, and he seems really nice. So when the world ends, we should be friends with him.
Seems really nice.
He does.
He seems sad as fuck.
Oh, we should make cookies and give them to him. I bet you he'd appreciate them.
Okay, you do that.
Sorry.
Can you keep telling me about... You're on page 2 of like 12, and it's
4. Stop.
been an hour.
Has it really been?
Yeah, keep going,
oh,
lady.
My Lord. All of his bear friends had gone off to hibernate. Amy was ready to call it quits.
Yep.
And then they made their way to the airport to go home at the end of September.
Okay.
Which was their usual departing time. So Tim wound up getting into an argument with a ticket tender over the validity of their tickets or getting an upgrade or something similar to that. There was multiple explanations in my different sources.
Okay.
So either way.
Scuffle at the airport.
Yes. He got into an argument.
A hubbub.
They got into a hubbub. Mm-hmm. And they decided, Tim took that as a sign that they should just go back out into the grizzly maze.
Naturally.
Yes. So Tim and Amy headed back into the wilderness later in the season than Tim had ever been, with plans for Willie to pick them up on October 3rd.
Okay. You could just grab a hotel by the airport.
You could.
You know?
Yeah, like normal people.
Yeah.
So they pitched their tent between 2 fox dens at the top of a hill just off a well-trodden bear trail.
Seems like a poor choice, but okay.
Okay.
There's no danger around at all.
You don't think so?
That was sarcasm.
They'll be fine, right?
This is telling me something terrible, so no, they won't.
They won't be fine?
Wait, is she going to get eaten too?
So, on pickup day, Willie anchored his plane in the water, noticed that there were no packs and supplies.
Wait, do you have to anchor those
seaplanes?
Seaplanes?
Yeah, so they don't float off?
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
I never
thought. Tie him down.
I never thought about that. Like, I was just like, when you said that, I was like, you always see him like land or take off. You never see him like docked, essentially, which is weird.
Yeah. Well, it's not docked because there's not a dock, but yeah, it's just like a boat where you just anchor it off.
No, I bet you could tie him to a dock.
Yeah, you could.
It's anyway. Keep going. It's just weird that, like, where do they keep the anchor? That seems like it'd be rough for flight.
I mean, inside somewhere, I would imagine.
Anyway, keep going. I was just distracted by the thought of that.
Just the scene just unraveling.
Yeah. Just
really
like
getting in there.
A plane landing and dropping an anchor to me. It was like, that hurts my brain.
Planes dropping anchors?
Yes.
Yes. I could see why that would break you a little bit. So Willie noticed that there were no packs or supplies sitting on the banks, and he grew concerned. So he started calling for Tim and Amy. And so and not hearing from them, he decided that he was going to head up a nearby bear trail. So about 3/4 of the way up the hill, following this bear trail, Willie started to get uneasy. So he turned around and headed back to his plane. Once he got to the shoreline, Willie decided to turn around, just to surveil, his surroundings.
The area. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Only to see a 1,000-pound Alaskan brown bear about 20 feet from him.
It's not good.
Yes, it was silently stalking him. He was ready to charge, and it wound up with like what Willie said was just a look in his eyes.
Those black murderous eyes.
Yeah, yes, like serial killers, but in bear form.
Yep.
So Willie managed to get to his
like
plane.
Like the bear from Fox and the Hound.
Oh, that was traumatic as a child.
Right?
All the slobber and the bear. Oh, that was awful.
And then the guy just walking around like gets caught in the bear trap. Oh, the drama.
Also, in case you care, I know that they have like a lot of bear roars and shit, like in a lot of like theatrical, like Fox and the Hounds. Bears actually try to be as quiet as possible while they are eating you.
That would make sense.
So don't worry, we'll
Good
get
to
to
know.
it. Yeah,
When do they roar then?
I don't know, but I'd rather not find out.
Okay.
So Willie managed to get to his plane, untie it, and he wound up inside before the bear tried to test the water to get to him.
Oh, because they can swim, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, they can.
Yep.
Yeah, Willie was
That is a scary fucking penguin.
very large, brown,
As they like
clawed
dive,
brown,
then like shoot out of the air.
like a whale, but worse.
Yeah, just into your plane.
So, after he managed to get into the plane and take off, he made the decision to scan the area looking for Tim and Amy. That was when he found their campsite at the top of a wooded hill along that same trail that he was following.
Yep.
And this is also where he saw that same bear that was stalking him, hunched over and appearing to be tearing at what looked like a human rib cage.
Oh, that's a terrible image.
It gets worse.
Oh, good. Good. I was hoping you would make it worse.
So at this point, Willie called his manager to report on what he believed had happened. And then from there, the Alaskan State Troopers were contacted along with the Alaska Park Service.
Yeah. Who got along so well with Timmy.
Yeah, they did. So Willie led them to the site where the team wound up landing. So they met him. He flew them to the bay. He showed them where he had landed.
Yep.
And this team was made up of 2 armed state troopers.
They came with weapons? How dare they?
Well, actually, the weapons were not allowed on this reserve.
Even by the troopers?
No, the troopers and your state rangers could have them, but just like a regular person could have deterrents like the spray, but like no weapons.
Yep.
So they showed up armed. They weren't fucking around. They already knew what was going on.
Yeah.
So they showed up with 2 armed troopers and 2 armed park rangers, followed Willie up that bear trail. And again, about halfway, 2/3 of the way to the site, one trooper yells, "Bear!" And this bear slowly coming up on them with his head down. He was eyeing them, sort of very similar to how he was just glaring at Willie, black-eyed like a serial killer.
He's like, I don't care if there's 6 of you or whatever. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll eat all of you.
Food was super scarce. So the men tried yelling and acting like super intimidating because they don't want to kill the bear if they don't have to. Didn't work at all. So this actually wound up causing the bear to charge toward them. This bear is 20 feet away from them.
Yeah.
They shot it. All 4 men started firing at the bear, throwing Willie to the ground because Willie had no weapons.
Yep.
And the bear was shot a minimum of 11 times. It made it 12 feet away from them.
That's,
Horrifying.
It just kept going.
Oh, it's so bad. Bears are so scary.
Well, 1,000 pounds, like that is a huge animal.
They got 6-inch fangs and nails.
Yeah.
There's footage in the documentary that I watched that you should go and watch,
But
of bear fights. And you're like, how did he not kill that other bear? It's horrifying.
When your friend has 100-pound dogs. When they push against you, oh, this fucking dog is strong. Yeah. Bill, imagine 10 times the size of a 100-pound dog.
With fangs 10 times as long.
Yeah. That is, Just a massive creature.
No, he steps on your toes and you're like, ow. Oh no, my toes.
Yeah, right?
No. So knowing that there were more bears in the area, the team searched the site, looking for any remains of Tim or Amy that they could find quickly.
Yeah.
Only Tim's head, frozen in a grimace, partial spine and ribs with some muscle attached, and one of his hands and arms that was still wearing that black watch was found.
Okay. So identifying him was easy enough.
Yeah.
But terrible.
Yes.
All the same.
So this was just drug a little bit farther away from the campsite into the bushes. Amy was found a little farther away. She was at camp with only her face untouched.
It's weird that the bears don't want to touch the faces.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Because the bear had a hold of Tim's head.
Yeah.
But they could still discern his face enough. Like, it was still a little bit battered, but like, enough.
I mean, the struggle, for sure.
So their bodies wound up being put. So they found Amy hidden by the bear in like a little cache. She was kind of like buried in like muck and grass, so that the bear could come back later to
finish it. Yeah.
Finish eating her.
Yes.
So their bodies were placed into two separate bags and placed in just one metal coffin, and their site was packed up and sent to state troopers to search through to sort of suss out what exactly had happened to them.
Yeah, forensic style.
Yep. So while packing up, another smaller, hungry bear came charging in, which the troopers, already on edge, also shot at and killed.
Okay.
So a necropsy, essentially like a bear autopsy, was done on the first bear that they'd shot at. This bear had been anesthetized and tagged a few years earlier by park rangers. He was known as Bear 141.
Not as cute as like, what was it? Spirit.
Grinch.
Or Grinch, yes.
Mr. Chocolate was another one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hershey's.
Hershey Squirts. Call back to your high school days.
Right.
With the shop teacher.
Yes. Bear 141. I tried to fill the void there while you took a swig of your gin.
Hershey Squirts. He was 1,000-pound, 28-year-old Alaskan brown bear.
28. How long do bears live for?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's old for a bear.
That seems old. Like you said that and I was surprised by it.
Yeah. A lot of older bears, just like everything else, they wind up being like the last ones to really get like a good food supply because they're older and weaker. So this bear was already like large and angry.
Brown bears live to be 20 to 30 years old.
Yeah. So who's up there?
Grizzly bears 20 to 25.
Still up there. Either way, up there.
Yep.
So this grandpa of a bear had been tagged a few years earlier by park
foxes
rangers.
only live 3 to 4 years.
That's the saddest fucking
A red
thing
fox?
I've ever heard.
Sorry. That's
really
sad. That was
sad.
just like the one sticking out of like the whatever lifespan.
3 to 4 years?
That's what it says.
They're so lovely, though.
So lovely.
No, it makes me really sad.
I'm sorry.
I guess sadder than this. I'm really upset.
You're more upset about that than this dude being eaten by this giant, angry West Side bear.
Look, it is tragic, but like,
he kept rolling the dice for 13 years.
yeah, he did.
Yeah. I feel worse for Amy.
Oh, very much so.
Yes.
She was horrified of bears.
Yeah.
Terrified.
Well, it's like her third year back or whatever. Like,
She's still scared.
just if you're gonna just stop going.
yeah.
Just stop going.
She still went, and like all the footage that he had of her, she tried to like hide her face and stuff. So like she was trying to be a supportive girlfriend, not realizing that she was in like the worst danger of her life. So, which I would get as a teenager, but like you're 30. Bear 141. He was 1,000-pound, 28-year-old Alaskan brown bear. So inside the stomach contents after his necropsy, the troopers pulled out 4 garbage bags worth of human remains and clothes.
It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which they were also sent back with the rest of the remains. Later, a team went to perform
How big is a bear's stomach?
I don't know.
Like, a garbage bag is like 30 gallons. There's no way that's like... Anyway, sorry.
It was also in his digestive tract.
And in like hibernation mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, like, that is a shit ton of garbage.
Yeah, it's not just his stomach, because there's small intestines at this point, because they think that it happened the night before.
Yeah.
The bear just kept coming back. Mm-hmm. And they were like, more humans. This guy was easy to kill.
Buffet, yes.
Yeah, this guy will be easy too. Mm-hmm. So later, a team went back to perform necropsy on the other bear that they had shot. But the bear had actually been mostly eaten by other predators in the area, like fellow bears.
And those foxes that they were denning next to.
And those foxes. So no human remains were found in that other bear. So it was just it was bear 141.
Yeah.
When searching through Tim's gear, a video recorder was found inside a duffel bag with the lens cap still on. Even though there was no video, it still recorded 6 minutes of audio of the mauling.
Oh, that's not good. Is that some ASMR shit there? Not so much?
It's a cute way to put it. ASMR bear mauling.
It's like more like nightmare fuel.
I know. Why do you think I'm drinking so much?
Oh, good. Oh, you listened to it.
Yes, I did.
Terrific.
So from the deep lacerations
Is that the new ringtone you had? Just kidding.
Just Tim screaming.
Yeah, that would be horrible.
Oh, God. It is so bad.
That's pretty sad, actually.
I'm fine.
Okay, good.
I listened to Jonestown death tapes. I made it through this.
Right?
It's okay. Pray for me, guys. So even though there was no video, it still recorded the audio. From the deep lacerations on Tim's scalp and head and bite marks on what was left of his body and the audio that the state troopers had to listen to over and over and over again, the investigators started to put together their best guess of what happened during Tim and Amy's final moments. The bear must have snuck up silently and unexpectedly in the evening of October 2nd.
Okay.
So I think it happened at that like dusk time the day before. You can hear Tim shouting to Amy, "Come out here. I'm being killed out here."
I would say, "Run, Amy, while this bear eats me."
He does.
He tells her to run?
He tells her to run.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So, and then you wind up hearing the sound of like a zipper along with pouring rain. So this is like in a storm.
It's like out of a movie.
Yes. It is exact. Yes. It's everybody's worst nightmare.
Yeah. And then you can see her like running like it feels like that scene in Jurassic Park when he's trying to get to the boat in the rain and then he gets spit on by the dinosaur and then he gets eaten. It's like that kind of shit going on.
Yeah.
Like where everything's slippery.
Yeah.
And there's monsters pretty much essentially in the woods.
And in case you care, I'm pretty sure that's what Leslie has evolved from.
Yes, our parrot.
The
yes.
oh
Whatever,
God.
yeah.
Doesn't matter. We have the board game because we're nerdy.
Diophilus?
Yes, Diophilus. So in the audio footage, you hear Amy keep shouting to Tim to play dead. Just play dead, play dead, play dead.
And hope they paw at you?
It worked.
Mm-hmm.
He left. The bear left. Tim played dead. The bear left. But only for a few moments. So the two were then heard discussing if the bear was gone. But the bear must have heard them.
Oh, and it was like, oh, they're not dead?
Mm-mm. Because it came back before Amy could get Tim to safety. Because remember, she's a surgical assistant. Like, she knows how to at least stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
And so the bear came back and it grabbed Tim again. But this time they tried to fight the bear. So Tim was also heard like telling her to like fight, like fight the bear.
Okay.
And they had no weapons. not even bear spray, because Tim was adamant that he would never harm a bear. So Amy tried hitting the bear over the head with the only weapon that she could find. A frying pan.
Okay. Of course.
So eventually, you do hear Tim, like you hear thumping, and then you do hear Tim shouting to Amy just to run. Run, run. Just run.
Yeah.
And you still hear the thumping in the audio. And then his screaming decreased. Because you would then hear the bear dragging what was left of Tim slightly out of camp.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And this is when Amy is heard on the recording just screaming.
Yeah.
And it was high-pitched. Her screaming was described as a predator call, which is like a deer call, but it's designed to sound like a wounded animal to draw in predators.
That's not good.
Yeah, like bears. Predators like bears. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she just keeps screeching.
What sick side of evolution is that?
I don't know, but it really is horrible.
Yes.
Just the animalistic, wounded. She's not even hurt at this point. She's just been, she
might be hurt, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's not bit yet. She's just going through some shit.
Yeah.
She's seen some
It's
things.
that blood-curdling scream,
Yes.
essentially.
So she's screaming very high-pitched. And then eventually Amy's screams start to become more intense.
Oh, once she finally gets the bear attacking her?
Yes. So at that point, it is when it's speculated that the bear came for her.
Uh-huh.
And then after eating, because there's no other way to describe it,
Yeah.
the bear then hid her in her cache to come back to her later.
Mm-hmm. It's a female bear?
No, it was a boy. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That was when the bear hid Amy in that muck.
You portrayed
and seeds.
the male bears to
It's
be
a
more
male.
dicks than the female bears.
100%. Also, it is a male bear.
It's that toxic masculinity.
It is. It's not just humans.
No.
Every species.
Yes.
So this is when the camera runs out of film and the audio ends.
I would almost say for the best. Like you're not going to get anything good beyond that.
Just silence.
Yeah, until the pilot comes up calling their names eventually, however long after that was.
The worst version of Blair Witch Project
Yes.
you could imagine.
Yeah, short of like her opening the lens and it just being like up her nose of her running away from the bear, which would be way worse.
Yes. So it's actually speculated that they had been shooting earlier in the day.
Okay.
And so it's speculated that she heard Tim screaming, and so she real quick reached into the duffel bag and hit record just out of habit. Because
let's catch this, on
anything
tape,
on tape, and also just out of instinct, just some sort of way to reach out to the world at the end of your
They
life.
didn't have phones or anything then, huh?
They had some sort of CB radio because that's how they would contact Willie.
Yeah, 03 is kind of fringe.
There might be
time.
some satellite phones.
Yeah. Oh no!
Aggressive. I tried so hard not to sneeze.
And then instead you sneezed on the mic.
I did.
Perfect.
So
That's why that's your mic and this is my mic. Because you're disgusting. Just kidding.
we don't kiss or eat after each other at all.
I don't kiss or eat your sneezes. No. Keep your dirty mic over there.
So
Finish your story, lady.
So the audio ends. And so in the documentary Grizzly Man, which I keep referring to, it's a really good doc. Everybody should watch it. It's a little bit biased into the leaning of that Tim's a little bit crazy, but I kind of get where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. So Werner Herzog tells Jewel, which was Tim's previous business partner, she's also his heir, that she should never listen to the audio, which he was allowed to listen to. They show him putting these giant headphones on and listening to the audio and him visibly shaking.
Yeah. No, that would be You seem like it affected you. You need to know this guy. If you actually knew him.
Yeah, you watched me like with my hands over my mouth and you're like, you okay? I'm like, I'm fine.
No.
It's
now,
fine.
just you retelling it, you can tell it affects you.
It's fucked.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime you hear
can find it.
No, I'm just saying, like, anytime you hear the audio, like the last sound someone makes, that's terrible. Like, that's super sad.
So
I don't even care. Like, I don't even care what kind of person it, like, I mean, for the most part. The
sounds of the bear,
yeah,
I think will haunt me more
than the actual sounds of the human.
Yeah, I'm just in combination. It's so fucked because the bear seems so chill
About the whole. Well, I mean, it's just doing what it does.
Yeah. And this man is literally screaming, alive, the whole fucking time, cognizant of what is going on. Like, knowing he's being eaten alive. He was grabbed by his head. He was grabbed by his head.
Yeah.
It's fine. We're fine.
Hey,
I'm fine.
Good
I'm
news.
not going to have nightmares.
In the evolution of the more vloggers and YouTubers and all that, there'll be more of this stuff in the future because everybody records everything now.
Great.
Right?
I'm so excited.
Are you?
Nope.
Okay. Can you finish your story, lady?
So anyway.
We're all out of booze. Everyone's dead.
It's tragic.
Yes.
I don't know where I went. But like, okay, so the documentary.
The air. Yes, don't listen to it. Big
so,
headphones.
yeah, Werner, the guy who did the documentary Grizzly Man, told Jewel, who was his heir and like previous business partner, do not listen. He said that he recommended that she completely destroy the audio. He was like, don't. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Please don't. You can only find about a 2-minute and 43-second clip out of the 6 minutes, and it stops before Amy's screams.
Okay.
Because I don't think I could handle listening to Amy's screams.
No, you wouldn't want to.
Absolutely not.
No.
So you hear her shouting, telling him to play dead. You hear him literally screaming for his life, and this bear just being like, and like snorts and shit. Mm-hmm. And it goes on for a few minutes, and then like that's it. It's done. It doesn't play the last 3 minutes.
Okay.
So you don't hear her screams, which I feel like would be more guttural because you just fucking watch someone literally get eaten alive. Mm-hmm. The only thing left of this man is his head and his spine and his ribs.
Yeah.
The bear has eaten that much of him.
Yeah, the rest of him was like ripped off.
Alive.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Is it?
Nope. It's fine. So
this is all Beth's fault anyways. Let's just bear that in mind.
We're calling her out a second time. This is your fault.
This is all your fault.
All your fault. So
go back to Ohio.
No. Don't go back to Ohio. So it was just really hard to listen to this man who was like 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
And in like survival of the wilderness type shape, literally screaming.
Yeah, but he was still 800 pounds less than this bear and not designed to eat like.
We don't have claws or teeth, fangs. No. Like, no, not at all. So this is
for the record, we do have teeth, but that's fine.
Not fangs. We do have teeth. We don't have fangs.
Yes.
So it's just really hard to listen to this audio of just this bear tearing through a human alive like it was no big deal, almost like he was just like a thrashing fish in the river.
Yeah.
And even though this is a tragic story with just the right amount of unfortunate events kind of unfolding and bad decision making, it really is a once in a lifetime event. Tim and Amy's death were the only recorded incidents of a bear eating humans in the Katmai Reserve's 85-year history.
And this wasn't even like a perfect storm.
Yes, it was.
No. It was they increased every day they stayed there in those circumstances. It increased the likelihood of this happening.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a fluke event.
No.
They were pushing
They made
the envelope.
bad decisions constantly.
He was the most... He knew that situation better than most people, and he still kept doing it.
Yeah.
And he had to know the
because
risk.
he was convinced. No, I mean, he might have known the risk, but
Yeah,
I feel like because he had such good
Yeah,
evidence and like relationship with the regular bears,
Yeah,
the
but-
problem was that this bear was not a regular bear.
No, he had no respect with. Yeah, that's like.
And he was a hungry, desperate older bear at the end of the season of a short supply of food.
Yeah.
It was the perfect culmination of circumstance that led to their deaths.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is that Tim knew that better than anyone.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it like super sad. Too.
Yes.
Like that, like he knew that this was a chance and he still took it because like that was
He felt secure enough.
Well, that's just who he was. He was
Yeah.
the guy that went out and slept next to the bears and it was no big deal.
It was really sad.
For real.
So,
Do you have sources?
yeah, that's the story of Timothy
Treadwell.
Treadwell.
Yes. And Amy
Huguenard.
Huguenard. I was going to say
Amy
she had a last name that I didn't remember.
Very much along with the, oh my God, Skarsgård kind of people.
Big, yeah. Similar.
Huguenard, Skarsgård. Yeah. She was blonde. So she was,
Swedish.
yeah, probably Swedish.
That's what the Skarsgårds are.
Yep. So, sources. I used Wikipedia. I try not to use Wikipedia, but there was very hard to find an objective source for this. I also used AlaskaMagazine.com article, re-examining famous deaths of Timothy Treadwell and Chris McCandless. In case you care, that's the guy who inspired Into the Wild. It's one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite books.
Okay.
Very good. I should make you watch it someday.
Also from around the same time period.
Yes. This one was way older. But the movie was made in about late 90s.
Vicinity.
So there's also a Reader's Digest article. This man protected wild bears every day for 13 years until he made the ultimate sacrifice.
I don't know if it was a sacrifice.
Nah.
Like, I mean, he didn't die to protect a bear, necessarily.
Clickbait existed long before now.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
There's also a SeattlePI.com article, Grizzly Mauls Kills Bear, quote, expert. And this was done by the Associated Press. There's also a Chicago Tribune article, a bear's victim heard on tape, I'm being killed. And then
That was from the Chicago Tribune?
Yeah, that one was from the Chicago Tribune. And
so
then
the Bears.
The Bears.
Did you know that's where the Chicago Bears football team?
Nope.
No, okay.
Not at all.
Sports.
Yay, sports. And then biologists believe errors led to attacks from Anchorage Daily News and Werner Herzog's documentary Grizzly Man, which everyone should go and watch. So you can get a full appreciation of just how kind of eccentric Timothy Treadwell was.
So his documentary that he was shooting ended up becoming a documentary about him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
about the Bears.
So Werner dug through because along with all of that like last footage, he also had like thousands of photographs and hundreds of hours of documentation. And so Werner went through all of that and compiled it into his doc, which takes kind of like that.
He didn't want to call it Brown Man? He went with Grizzly Man?
He went with Grizzly Man. He did.
Okay, good.
He tried to be woke.
Yes.
In the early 2000s, which, our standards aren't the same.
I just think it's funny that they call everything a grizzly bear, even though none of them are. They're all brown bears.
No, they are all brown bears.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was a good doc. It takes a little bit of the, like, he's weird, and it doesn't give a lot of, like, time for defense in Timothy's defense. They do mention his, like, friends. They do wind up going out and spreading his ashes. It's a good documentary if you want to try to take it with a slightly more objective stance of, like, he did have a good nature and good heart.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things where, like, instead of like a victimless crime, it's almost like the opposite of that, where there's not like any one in the wrong. Like, you can't blame the bears necessarily.
No.
And you can't really
blame him.
No. So it's like one of those things where
In
it's
his
like,
past experience for the last 13 years, he had mostly good interactions with the bears.
Yeah, it was just one of those, it was just
A fluke.
nature taking place and he was on the wrong side of it.
Yep.
Essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the story of Timothy Treadwell and Amy Huguenard.
Yep. All right. Thanks for listening. We've made it this far.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this one was A, long, and B, pretty. It was full of just bad imagery.
It was, yes.
Of all the, yeah.
You didn't want to take some of that imagery and run?
No. Nope.
No.
Well, and I was like, I feel it. Like I said, it's one of those things where like you don't want to bash the guy for getting eaten by a bear, and you don't want to bash the bear for doing just what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
So it's just the jokes were front loaded intentionally.
Yes.
And then I just kind of like you were into the story. I was just there's probably like 10-minute stretches where I don't say a word in here because I was just listening like everyone else was. Cause like I just wanted to hear like because
it's sad.
Well, it's sad, but it's also like an interesting story just to listen to.
Yeah, it is. I think it's hard when we live in the society that we live in to take a step back and realize that we are not the top of the food chain. And when you get placed in circumstances where there are other predators and you're not properly equipped to deal with them, you are going to get eaten.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
I mean,
like, you're still just a bag of meat.
yeah. Well, I mean, but also the bear had 11 bullets in him and he died eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took 4 people shooting at him with semi-automatic weapons to drop that bear. It was not fucking around.
Yeah. So we can kind of bug the evolutionary food chain.
Because we have brains.
Yes. Well,
and domesticated things.
Yeah. And that's the ultimate equalizer.
Yeah. When the world ends and we're faced with, like, real opposition, we might be ill-equipped to handle it.
We'll see. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for listening. I'm going to need to reply once again. One of our favorite podcasters tweeted us back twice now.
Ooh, look at us go.
Right?
Hashtag shameless plugging.
Yep. It's Amanda from Wine and Crime. I don't care. It's World Diabetes Day, and she's the only other diabetic podcaster we know.
She is.
So that's cool.
Treat us some love. Send us some insulin.
Send who insulin?
You.
I got insurance.
Shit's expensive, guys.
No, it's not. Not for us, thankfully. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
Yep.
And this proves, if you listen to this, and this is twice now, the YouTube video and with her what?
I rambled on more than I should have.
Yeah, no, this one's a long one. If you give us suggestions for topics, we will do them.
Yeah,
we did the
will.
Russian plane thing with a YouTube comment. We did this because of Beth's comment. Like, if you have an idea, like,
okay,
post it on Facebook, tweet at us, YouTube, if you're one of the 9 YouTube subscribers.
I'm going to do a caveat,
favorite.
though, because...
I'll be mad when we get to 10 at this point.
Okay, so... okay, Matt. So,
yeah, no,
I got a message from Kaylee saying that we should do the toy box killers.
No.
I draw a line.
Yeah.
It is so fucked, and you would be have night. They're so fucked.
Yeah. No, there's
I might do it someday in the future, but they're so...
Well, there's
he
certain
is so
heavy
bad.
There's certain heavy hitters that A, we both know, and B, we don't want to like try to make jokes about. Yeah,
it involves sexual assault and a dog.
Yeah, no.
And that's the least worst part of it.
Yeah, no, there's certain topics that we avoid on purpose. So yeah, we will look at subjects if you do.
A couple times a year we'll do those real heavy ones.
If you're a Patreon supporter, we'll probably do it no matter what. But if you're not, because Kaylee's not, so I can say that.
Kaylee.
Yeah, join Patreon, Kaylee, and we'll do the toy box. I don't care. We'll do it there. I'll research it and tell you all about something you already know.
Oh my God, please.
Yes.
You're not going to tell me anything I don't already know about.
No,
toy
I know.
box
But
killers.
but there's our Patreon supporters might not know about it. Anyway, that's just a good shameless plug to shout out all our Patreon supporters. You're
All
the
the
real
plugs.
MVPs here. Yep. Anyway, thanks for listening. This has been super long.
It hasn't. I'm sorry. It was just so fascinating.
Don't apologize to these people. They're here on their own volition.
They are.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Don't get eaten by a bear.
True.
I guess only our UP listeners have to worry about that.
Do we have UP listeners?
I don't know.
I don't know either. All right. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Okay, bye. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTpod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.